been a couple of weeks since we talked, and the way this show usually works
Yeah.
is I say crazy stuff for a week, and then you come in and you balance me out. It's been 2 weeks, so I've been saying crazy stuff, man. So far, since I last seen you, I traded George Kittle. He's no longer on the 49ers. Goodbye, George. And Deebo Samuel blocked me on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
Maybe if you had been here last week, Deebo would still like me. But, okay, I'm not blaming you. I take responsibility. But anyway, I want to talk to you about Deebo today. And not about that, we can talk about the drama, but it's so silly to me. I want to talk about what's important. His contract extension. The way I see it is this is a very, very tricky negotiation, trickier than Warner, trickier than Kittle maybe even. Where are both sides coming from? Can you lay this out? Can you see both angles?
Yeah, I can. So first things first, I think the specification on the position for Deebo Samuel is very important in this conversation, because if you're going to say wide back, can we call Christian McCaffrey that type of player?
Why do you go straight to Christian McCaffrey?
Because he had the 1,000 season, right?
Got it.
Right. So if we go there, right, Christian McCaffrey got 4 years, $64 million, right?
Yes.
$16 million a year.
Right.
Obviously, the guaranteed money, all of those things make a difference. But if we're going to Christian McCaffrey, he's getting paid quite a less bit of money than what Devontae Adams will get paid.
Right. And I don't think Deebo wants Christian McCaffrey money. No.
And I don't think Deebo deserves Christian McCaffrey money. So I think the position classification with Deebo is a very important part of this discussion. Then the second thing, and to me, this
like Farad could come and be like, Deebo, we're going to make you the highest paid running back in the league. How does that sound?
Yeah. Right.
Not good.
Or because the way I see it, right? Because Christian McCaffrey, first of all, before he got paid, right, his list of credentials was more than even what Deebo Samuel's was at this point. Can we agree on that?
No question. Yes.
Yeah, and so you could make the argument, well, he's a similar type player, not really your exact skill set, not used the same way, but a similar type player in the sense that he adds value in both the run and the pass game.
Yes.
And, Alvin Kamara is right around that range too. You could throw him in that conversation.
So from the Niners perspective, they're trying to start there and work up.
Right. But if you're Deebo Samuel, and I think where Deebo Samuel's argument becomes a much more pronounced is, first things first, Deebo Samuel can say since week 6 of his rookie year, he's been the most important player on this offense.
Yes.
This offense has still not found a way since week 6 of Deebo Samuel's rookie year to operate without Deebo Samuel on the field. Yes. It's not the same offense without Deebo Samuel on the field.
Yes.
So that's the second thing. Yeah. Then the third thing is, and I think this is where his argument becomes exacerbated, Deebo Samuel became like the solo star for this team, right? The Niners of this year, the 2021 Niners, are synonymous really with the boombox guy and Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams leading the troops out to Super Gremlin. This team went how Deebo Samuel went. This team played like the infectious energy that Deebo Samuel created from, his physicality and just his ability to make big plays is what energized and got this team going. This team played off of Deebo Samuel. He doesn't talk a lot, I guess he talks as much as any star player would talk, but he doesn't say a lot and he doesn't really self-promote. But he became kind of the leader of this team, quote unquote, even though he wasn't speaking like he's the leader of this team, because they went how Deebo Samuel went. Right. And so when you throw in all those arguments and you say this, well, he should be paid, as the highest paid player as a receiver, but he should be one of the 3 or 4 highest paid players on the 49ers because they go how Deebo Samuel goes.
And again, like the highest paid wide receiver in the league's making $25 million a year, 27. Yeah. 27, DeAndre Hopkins. So Deebo was an all-pro this
Adams
year.
Is about to get paid.
Right, so Deebo was an all-pro this year. Why would he not expect something like that? And we're talking a difference of about $10 million a year from Christian McCaffrey to that.
And then of course Deebo, then his injuries will be a part of this conversation, unfortunately. And he battled injuries in South Carolina. That's why I think he went in the second round, because to me, just based on what he was in South Carolina, he was a first-round pick, no-brainer. Just on the field. Then he battled, he was banged up a little bit his rookie year. He still played 14 games. He was banged up his second year. He didn't get off running because of the foot injury, and then it all compounded.
That was a bad year.
And then
2020 was pretty much a bad year for Deebo. He was never healthy.
Right. And
Never
then
helped.
2021, right? He still was banged up this year, but he was able to manage his body throughout. And I think the interesting tidbit is so Deebo Samuel actually works out in Brandon Marshall's gym, I think. Or something to do with Brandon Marshall. The point is Brandon Marshall has seen him work out. And I was watching some interview with Brandon Marshall. I forgot what it was. And Brandon Marshall was talking about how the sky is a limit for Deebo Samuel. Like he's seen him work out and he's extremely special. The one thing he has to figure out is how to recover his body. And he said once he figures that out, nobody's going to stop Deebo Samuel. Right. He's that special. And to me, when you're talking about the body recovery, right, that's when you're talking about the injuries. And that's where if Brandon Marshall, who watches him work out, daily in the offseason, is saying that because he works out at that gym, and he said it in passing. He said it as a compliment, actually, like, wow, like this guy is so talented. That's what he was meaning to say. And that's what I'm taking it as too. But the point is, that's where I think this negotiation is going to be really interesting to watch
essentially
play out.
Goes so hard, right? On the practice field, in the weight room, in games, like at a certain point, you got to learn how to balance it. And as you get older, recovery becomes more and more important, right?
Yeah. And it's just, how is he going to manage his body? And the thing is, and that's where, if Brandon Marshall brings that up, and I think where it's interesting from the 49ers perspective is if Brandon Marshall brings that up and the 49ers, let's say, have a slight question mark about it, well, it's not about just paying Deebo, right? Because the investment in Deebo, everything I just laid out from Deebo's side is he's the franchise player on this team. Well, if he's going to be a franchise type player, the investment is that he plays for you for 4 or 5 years in a row at this extremely high level. He certainly has the talent to do that. Nobody denies that. But can he manage his body for 4 or 5 years in a row and continue to play at this level? If that's a question mark, that's where I think this negotiation becomes interesting. In my opinion, I would pay Deebo Samuel whatever. I think he's that special. I think the fact that he did, in my opinion, become the leader of this team, because we did talk about leadership throughout the middle of the season, right? We talked about the fact that, without Staley, without Buckner, this team doesn't seem to have leadership and all these kinds of things. And the second half of this season, this team went how Deebo Samuel went. Deebo Samuel made all the big plays for this team. The play of the season, right, to beat Green Bay, 3rd and 7. It was Deebo Samuel who ran that for a first down. Against the Cowboys, it was Deebo Samuel that was the star of the game. The Niners offense did more or less nothing against the Rams defense in the NFC Championship game. Sans really one play, and that was Deebo Samuel taking a screen 45 yards for a touchdown. He made that one big play. So,
real quick, let me just review real quick. It seems to me that what Deebo, if you're watching, and I know you're a big fan of the show, so let's just talk directly to Deebo right now. Deebo, they're going to make you meet in the middle. What's going to happen is you're going to come to the negotiation saying, I'm the best wide receiver in the league. That's what the coaches think. That's what I think. I want to be paid $100 million 4 years. And they're going to say, right, here's our offer. It's going to be a little bit more than Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey. And they're going to want to meet in the middle. They're going to have all these arguments. Well, you actually play running back. Actually, you drop a lot of, actually, you've been hurt. There's a lot of things they can say against you. And what they're expecting is you to meet them in the middle. Who didn't meet him in the middle was DeForest Buckner. They went to the negotiation and Buckner's like, I don't want to hear it. I've been nothing but the Iron Man for you. I see myself as a top 3 defensive tackle in the league. Either pay me that or I'm gone. And they were like, what?
Didn't Buckner say after, though, that
he was willing? He said he was willing to meet him in the middle.
He said that, no, but he said they weren't even willing to meet him in the middle because they felt like he already priced themselves out and they've already made the decision to move off of him.
That's a good point. So I hope the Niners, something like that doesn't happen to you, Deebo, if you come in real.
So I don't think it will. They drafted him.
Good point.
They drafted him. So I think that changes the entire conversation. But I think
because they made Warner the highest paid. They made Warner highest paid his position. They made Kittle highest paid his position. They're not going to do that for Deebo.
No, I think so. I think that's where this conversation is really interesting because I don't think it's just like, oh, the Niners, like this isn't anti-Niners or this or that or anybody's wrong. I just think this is one of the most interesting contract negotiations we've ever seen.
Yes.
Because 1, Deebo's position is so unique. 2, Deebo's so unique as a player. And then 3, you talk about all these things. Okay, Deebo's unique, all of this. And then the Niners also have to pay him, like a franchise player. But at the same time, how do you negotiate this deal? I think this one is going to set a precedent for a lot of different deals in the NFL because I mean, let's be honest. I've been saying it since we started doing the show. He's the single most valuable player on their offense.
Yep. On their team. Well,
like that's the thing, right? Kittle's a superstar. Juszczyk is an excellent player. Ayuk is really good. The playoffs, this team was a solo star team. Their offense was Deebo Samuel.
It's true.
That's it.
That's true. So before we move on, I would like, if you wouldn't mind, could you give a very early prediction of what this contract's going to be? Because Deebo's really interested. He wants to know what he's going to make.
I have no
4
clue.
years.
To me, it has to be north of $100 million.
It's got to be 4 years, $100 million, right? And the Niners are going to try to find every single way to make it 80, 85, 90. Deebo, don't take that. Stand firm.
To me, he has to be paid. I think he's deserved it. He's first team All-Pro.
Now, what scares me about Deebo is that his career arc and George Kittle's career arc are very similar. I mean, Kittle was great his third year, and everyone's questioning
I knew you were gonna go here, and I was ready for it because I think there's a massive distinction to me. I think the big difference is I don't think Kittle ever became the heart and soul of the 49ers, and it felt like Kittle was, taking them somewhere. Deebo became the heart and soul of the 49ers this year. I mean, every time I turned on
done
ESPN,
much in the playoffs. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
6 games, 15 catches, 1 touchdown, 150 yards. Like, he hasn't done much in the playoffs.
Every time I turned on ESPN during the playoffs or NFL Network or any of those things, they talk about 2 things. One, how far can the 49ers go with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, right? That's conversation 1, that's given. And then the other thing is, how special is Deebo Samuel? Wow, this Deebo guy, wow. And, it's also apropos that his name is Deebo because the entire swag factor of the 49ers is that, you got big Trent Williams and you got Deebo Samuel coming down with Super Gremlin playing, and they intimidate you because Deebo's going to hit you in the mouth, and then Trent Williams is the best in the NFL at what he does.
Yes. Good point. So Deebo and your agent, hang tough. Respect Grant for handling the situation properly. What did you think of that silliness yesterday on Twitter?
Honestly, I didn't think much of it.
Me neither.
It's not a big deal that he blocked you, honestly. I don't know why people were up in arms. I think there's a lot of people that really don't like you, and they use this as somehow this proves something that they think about you, but I don't think it proves anything.
At
the end of the day,
a lot of times.
Yeah, and first of all, Deebo Samuel blocking you or not blocking you does not prevent you from doing your job one bit. Deebo Samuel blocking you or not blocking you doesn't prevent him from doing his job. And he's still going to have to answer your questions in press conferences. You're still going to be able to ask him questions. I just think it's a funny back and forth.
I can't wait to ask him a question in a press conference. That's going to be fun. Shivnur says, anytime a Niners player blocks Grant, their career slopes downward. Might want to unblock Grant Deebo. Nick Bosa's been just fine.
My question is, has he blocked Jennifer Lee Chan?
Oh, I'll have to ask Jennifer on that one. Shivnur, thank you.
Because she does irk him, according to him.
He said that. I don't understand that. Anyway. Okay, me and Jennifer Lee Chan in a very exclusive group.